Good morning, everybody. And firstly, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I know it's 8:30 a.m. on the final Friday of Dreamforce. So I think it probably just shows that you guys are extra committed to your job search. But thanks for joining us. Now, we don't have a huge amount of time in the presentation this morning, but we do have a booth here in the dev zone just over to your left. And we're happy to keep the conversation going with anyone who wants to right after the presentation. So firstly, my name is Mike Hayden, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called Hireforce. Now, Hireforce is a recruiting company that works exclusively within the Salesforce space. So it's the only skill set that we recruit for, and we work with Salesforce professionals like yourselves to help you find new job opportunities. We're a startup based here in San Francisco, just a couple of blocks away from Salesforce, and our goal is to get all of our recruiters Salesforce certified. Now, the reason for this is we want to make sure that when we're representing you, our candidates out there in the job market, we really actually understand your skill sets. So it's not just buzzwords and, oh, that guy's got Trigger on his resume, he must be a developer, but we actually really understand what you do and how to represent you to our clients. So this morning, we're going to be talking to you about the 3 areas that we think are most important to focus on whenever you're looking for a new job. So from first submitting your application to going through the interview process and then finally negotiating the perfect offer that you're looking for. But before we do that, I'd like to take a minute to just talk to you about the Salesforce job market. And I'm not sure if everyone's aware of this, but there's actually a real shortage of talent in the Salesforce space right now. And that's a problem that's been getting worse for a number of years. So I've been working in the Salesforce recruiting space for a long time, but over the last couple of years, I've seen a real increase in the demand for talent. And it's something you can feel from speaking to clients and candidates within the space. But earlier this year, that was actually confirmed when a company called Burning Glass did an analysis over a 12-month period. So they looked at over 100 million job postings from 40,000 different job sites. And this spanned from July 2015 up to June 2016, so just a couple of months ago. And the results of that were actually pretty incredible. So the demand for Salesforce developers and Salesforce administrators has actually trebled since 2012. So in just 4 years, there are now 3 times as many job postings for Salesforce developers and administrators. In that 12-month period alone, there were an additional 300,000 Salesforce positions listed on top of the existing positions that were already open. And the results showed that there was a real variance in salaries. And the biggest factors were the location of the role and the years of experience of the candidate. But the one thing they did show was that for Salesforce developers across the US, the average salary is over $100,000. And this shortage of talent really is something that we come across every day when we're speaking to our clients and to our candidates. So clients that can't hire fast enough to hit their project deadlines and who aren't able to hire the Salesforce talent needed to make Salesforce do all of the weird and wonderful stuff we've learned about at Dreamforce this week. So this is actually a real issue. And for you guys, I think it's important to look at what is actually driving this demand, right? So who is it that hires for Salesforce professionals? And if we put Salesforce as a company to one side for now and just focus on the Salesforce ecosystem, I think we can break those client types down into 3 different types of companies. So firstly, there are the Salesforce customers. So these are the companies that range from startups like Hireforce, who use Salesforce as our CRM and applicant tracking system, all the way up to multi-billion-dollar companies like Google, who probably have 50 different instances of Salesforce across all of their divisions. Then, secondly, we have the Salesforce consulting partners. So these are the companies that I'm sure you've all seen in the expo hall that work alongside customers to help them implement Salesforce or to maximize their existing instances. And these range from the kind of smaller boutique specialist partners like SnapBI, who you're going to hear a little bit more about today. They're our implementation partner and have done a fantastic job for us, all the way up to the global companies and household names like Accenture and Aperio, right? The final client type are the Salesforce product companies. So these are the companies that are using the Force.com platform to develop tools that integrate with Salesforce, usually pretty seamlessly. And again, there's a lot of those products in the developer zone this week. But this network of companies is huge. So the Salesforce ecosystem is actually 3 times bigger in terms of revenue than Salesforce itself. And Salesforce is pretty massive, right? And the companies that fall within that ecosystem are the guys that are driving that growth. And the ecosystem is only getting bigger. So the Salesforce ecosystem is expected to grow by over $400 billion in the next 5 years, more than $400 billion. And that's expected to lead to an increase in jobs by about 1.9 million. So in the next 5 years, there should be an additional 1.9 million jobs in the Salesforce space on top of the 300,000 created last year. But what does that mean for you guys, right? And how does it affect you in your job search? Well, from my experience in recruiting, if you're working in a space that has a real shortage of the skill set that you hold, it only works in your favor. So it puts you in the driving seat and increases the amount of opportunities that are available to you in terms of the work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, the salary you can be demanding, whether or not you want to be working from home or traveling into the office at times that fall outside of the commute, and really just overall job satisfaction and happiness with where you work. So this is something that really does affect you guys pretty heavily. Now, I'm going to pass you over to Tabor, who is one of our senior Salesforce consultants, and he's going to talk to you a bit about the application process. But before I do that, I do just want to say that I would encourage anybody working in the Salesforce space right now to really seriously think about your careers. There's never been a better time to work in the space, and the opportunities really are endless. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And as he just mentioned, we're going to see almost 2 million jobs created over the next few years. So I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the application process and how you get the most out of that. So when you're looking to make your next career move, with over almost 2 million jobs to be expected in the next 5 years, where do you even start? How do you find the right one for you? Fortunately, there are a number of sites out there. Let me pull it up here. That have Salesforce openings on them that you can refer to. Sites, like Career Builder. Let me see if I can get on this. LinkedIn, Indeed, Dice, Monster, the Salesforce Success Community is a pretty good one. And occasionally you'll come across a hiring manager or a friend that you know of that knows of a job, or word of mouth, something like that that can kind of help you get started. Unfortunately, almost all those options, especially the sites, are just repostings of Salesforce jobs that either don't exist or just fairly generic job descriptions that don't really give you a sense of the opportunity and if it would be a right fit for you. Moreover, less than 2% of people that apply to job postings online actually get an interview, much less the actual job. But fortunately, there's an alternative option of working with a personal Salesforce specialist, like one of us at Hireforce, who can then work with you directly, understand what it is that you'd be looking for in your next career move, and really get to vet through and sift through all those job posting sites online, see which ones really exist, which ones are relevant, and then also work with really awesome and cool companies like SnapEI here to figure out which jobs are not posted online but are still really cool, still relevant to your skill set, and still be something that you'd be interested in pursuing. So once we've had that conversation with you and gotten to understand where we can kind of focus our search and which opportunities you'd be most interested in pursuing, we then go forward and actually begin the actual application process. So, excuse me. Once we begin the application process, you're going to want to make sure your first impressions count, because before you even step into a room and speak with an employer or talk with them over the phone, they're going to have already looked at your resume and your LinkedIn. So you're going to want to make sure that you're presenting yourself in the best way you can as a candidate. And that means make sure your resume is tailored to the specific job. You don't want to send a generic one to employers, because they're going to look at that and read that as laziness or not really being interested in the actual opportunity that you're pursuing. Secondly, you're going to want to make sure that your Salesforce experience is easy to find on your resume. Employers are only going to spend about an average of 7 seconds looking at your resume, so make sure that they don't really have to look through and find your Salesforce experience. They want to make sure that you're relevant and it's easy to find. And thirdly, and you hear this all the time, just make sure there's no errors on it. We come across candidates all the time that have a simple spelling error, or grammatical error, syntax, something that really just causes unnecessary worry for the employers. Um, and secondly, they're going to be taking a look at your LinkedIn profile. So the same rules apply for your resume as for your LinkedIn, but in addition, make sure you have a professional photograph. Sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how often we come across someone that has some wacky photo of them on a vacation or cartoon avatar. And you have to keep in mind the employers want to see who you are and they want to see how you present yourself professionally. So make sure it's a photo that you'd be proud to show them of you. Secondly, and this is one of the things that makes LinkedIn unique as compared to your resume. Take a chance to elaborate on who you are as a candidate. Make sure you're mentioning any interesting skill sets or Salesforce experiences you've had. And feel free to elaborate on your career ambitions. Employers love to see where you see yourself in 5 years. So take advantage of having that a chance to write that out on a LinkedIn profile. And thirdly, if you have a chance to, try and get recommendations from clients, employers, managers, bosses, anyone that can really speak to your Salesforce capabilities as a candidate. It's always a great sign for employers, and it acts as almost an additional reference for you. And so once you go through the application process, ideally, you want to get the role. Unfortunately, oftentimes you have to go through 3 or 4 or more applications before you find that role that really fits you and you end up getting the job. So for the opportunities that don't end up coming into fruition and leading to a role, make sure that you're actually taking advantage of it and getting the most out of that opportunity, which means A, asking for feedback. So this is helpful because you can find out what you did well, but you can also find out where you can continue to improve, and you can be constructive about it and improve upon it with your next interview. Secondly, send a thank you follow-up. You don't want to burn any bridges, and you never know what clients are going to come back a few months down the road and maybe be interested in interviewing you for another role that they have that might be more relevant. And you always just want to end it on a positive note and kind of close out that opportunity. And thirdly, and most importantly, keep in touch with your recruiters. We often work with companies like SnapBI and Duke who the role may not work the first time around, but 3 or 4 months down the road, there might be something changed, and they might be interested in having an expedited process with you and getting you back into there. So we can always make sure that we'll stay up to date with you. We'll inform you on that, and we'll also keep you updated with other opportunities that are relevant to what you'd be looking for. So I'm going to pass it on to Duke now, who can talk about what SnapBI does and what our partnership with them looks like.
Thanks, Tabor. I'm Duke from Snap. We are a local San Francisco-based consulting company. We've been growing very fast. Over the last 2 years, we've grown from 4 consultants to 20. And we work exclusively with Hireforce for our recruiting process. They have proven to be a great partner to make the match for us. In our business, we want to find the exceptional Salesforce people. And they have to be exceptional with Salesforce, but they also have to be great fit with our team so that they participate in the whole development of our company. And Hireforce has proven to be a great partner for that. So, as mentioned, we're hiring, and Mike asked me to come and talk a little bit about what do we look for when we're interviewing and looking to bring somebody on board. The first thing, and Tabor touched on this, is interview prep. It's the basics. You guys have all been told this before, but a lot of people show up that haven't done it, right? So, I sit down in a room with you or on the phone, and in 30 minutes I'm trying to decide, is this somebody that should go forward in the process, right? And I don't know who you are. I've got a resume and I've looked at your LinkedIn profile, but that's all I know. And I really expect that you've done your homework. These are some of the things that we're looking for, right? So I fully expect that you've gone and done LinkedIn profiles on me and my partner and other people at Snap, that you've gone to our website, that you've gone to the App Exchange, that you've read some of the reviews. We expect you've done that homework. For us, it's like a baseline. Also, the way you dress and the way you present yourself. We're in a casual industry here. We don't need people dressed fancy, but we do want you clean and presentable and to look like you care about your appearance, and it matters to you. And the details matter. Frankly, if you show up for one of our interviews late, you might as well not show up, right? Don't be late. Be early, be on time, be organized. If you're going to take notes on an electronic device, have it ready to go. So have your act together and be organized, because we look at it in that little 30-minute window. We look at it like if you're not organized now, you're probably not going to be organized later, right? And so, make the most of it. At Snap, when we actually go to hire, we primarily hire for attitude and aptitude. We don't need people that have had tremendous Salesforce experience, that have been at it for 10 years. If the person has a great attitude and is smart and capable, then we probably want them on our team. So we look for attitude, and when we say attitude, what we mean is strong self-motivation. We want you to come to the meeting and demonstrate that you're self-motivated, that you've done things in your life where you got outside your comfort zone and you went and took on challenges and were uncomfortable and expanded yourself. You were motivated, you went out and made it happen. We're looking for that. We're also looking for calm and tense situations, right? We're in the Salesforce world that doesn't always go well. Sometimes we roll something into production and it blows up, or we have a deadline that's going to be missed and it gets tense. So we want people who are calm when it's tense, right? Don't get too riled up, and try and bring to the interview some examples of when you were in difficult situations and how you dealt with it. And then at Snap, our third philosophy is life balance. We want to have fun at work, and we want to do more than just work. So we also are looking for people that are fun to be around, that are team players, that make the world a little brighter around them. And so we want to get that from that first 30 minutes as well. And then the last one, of course, is passion for Salesforce. We are all here. Probably most of you, at least, are here. I'm here because I love the platform. I think it's an amazing company, and they've done an amazing job. I talked to somebody earlier this week, and they said, the story, I drank the Kool-Aid. This person that I was interviewing said, I am the Kool-Aid, right? and I'm like, that's what we're looking for, right? We want to see that passion, and so don't be shy about bringing it out during the interview process. Let us know. And then on aptitude, we're interviewing for how strong are your technical skills, and also how strong is your business acumen. Can you go into a situation and understand, in our case, a client, but if you're in an org, the business user, can you understand their business problem and then sort of, architect out in your brain what are the issues and what are the challenges, and ask questions, right? And come to an understanding. And then in some cases, you may have to push back and say, let's talk about the business process, right? Before I implement a flawed business process in Salesforce, let's first push back on that a little bit. So we want to understand when we're interviewing, can you do that, right? Can you question? Can you listen? Can you understand? And do you have the ability, when needed, to push back on someone and say, I don't think you're right? And so what I'm encouraging you here is think about that before the interview. Know we're going to ask these kind of questions, and come with some examples of where you were in a situation and you did that and you made that happen. And then part of that learning process, and learning is key today, right? The world's moving so fast that whatever we all know now will be irrelevant in a few years, so we have to be really good learners. And that means questioning, listening, understanding, and using community resources. So we want to know that you can go learn. We're a very collaborative environment, and we all help each other, but we all also spend a lot of time and energy each individually going out and Googling for the answer, or going to the community, or whatever it might be. So we want to know that you've done that. And then attention to detail. In the end, it's the world of computers and software, so bits and bytes matter and errors matter, and we want to know that you are detail-oriented, that you can deliver something with a high level of quality. So we want some examples of that too, right? Bring all those things together, and that's what we're looking for. What's the stool all about, right? The stool was in the last couple of slides. So we always say at Snap, there's 3 legs on the stool. One of them is your clients love you, or your business users love you. The second one is you have strong technical skills, and the third one is your teammates and colleagues love you. And for us, you have to have 2 of them. And one of the 2 has to be your teammates love you. So you have to be a good team member, and you got to be a good colleague to the people you work with. And then you either have to have very strong technical skills, or you have to have great interpersonal relationship skills with the clients. And if you have that, then you're probably somebody that should come over to the booth afterwards, and we want to talk to you. And so with that, I want to turn it over to Rachel.
Thank you, Duke. I want to talk to you today about managing expectations throughout the interview process, so that when you receive an offer, you receive the offer that you want, and we're not having to have those hard negotiations, and starting off on the right foot with the company you choose to join. So the first thing I want to talk about is starting off on the right foot. I think it's really important that you're transparent with the company you're interviewing with your skill sets that you have. I can't tell you how many times we interview candidates who claim to have experience that they actually don't have. And this is only going to create tension if you basically lie to your future employer about your experience. You're just going to set yourself up for failure. There's going to be frustration when they realize that you're not the person that they hired. And the way that you can do that is you can try to relate your experience as it relates to that specific project or as it relates to the specific product that they're looking for experience on. It's also really important that you elaborate and let them know how willing you are to learn a technology and get up to speed on everything. So managing expectations. From day one, you should be very clear with the company on what you want in terms of compensation, what you're looking for in terms of on-site, commute, in regards to start date, what you're looking for in your career, what exposure you're wanting to get on, what type of leadership you work well with, etc. If you're managing their expectations when it comes to the offer stage, you'll be more than likely they'll give you the offer that you're looking for. Specifically with salary, I think it's important that everyone realizes you make a career move and typically the increase in salary and compensation is about 10 to 15%, but it really depends because there's so many varying factors to that. If you've received another offer in the meantime, always be upfront with the recruiter or the company. Let them know that you've received another offer or that you're at final stages, you're expecting another offer. Let them know what that offer is so that they can come in with a competitive offer or they can move you along in the interview process faster. The last thing that we want is we talked about, for example, a salary of 100K from day one, and after going through that interview process to your final, things have changed and all of a sudden you want 135K. And that's completely fine because it's a competitive market and the client understands that. But if you haven't told them the reason why your number has changed, they're going to be a little bit frustrated that at the end of the process, you're suddenly asking for an insanely larger amount, like 35% increase. So I think it's really important to process that, take that on, and just be really transparent with either the recruiter or the company that you're interviewing with in regards to everything. We tell our clients all the time, if a candidate gets another offer, we'll let them know what that offer is, and just manage their expectations. So after that final interview, when they do decide they want to hire them, they already know, look, this person has another offer at 140K, so therefore we're going to need to adjust our expectations and come in with a great offer to begin with. So now that you've received an offer, first and foremost, congratulations. If you have been open and transparent with the company, hopefully it's in line with your expectations and the offer that you're looking for. I always, when I talk to candidates about deciding if it's an offer that they want to take and really assessing that offer, one of the best things to think about is where would you see your career 5 years from now if you take that offer versus staying in your current company or taking another offer. And really, we're all looking to develop our skill sets, our exposure to different products, the projects that we're working on, developing our leadership skills, et cetera. And I think that's really important. I mean, the things to think about your progression over 5 years, it's like, what products are you getting exposed to? What interesting projects are you going to get to work on? What leadership's in place that gives you that infrastructure to allow you to grow and develop your career and yourself as an individual? What's the culture like? You know, is the company growing? How is their reputation in the industry? Is the compensation realistic for you? And then also, do the logistics make sense? The last thing we'd want is someone to take an offer where they're commuting 2 hours a day and then realize that they're frustrated and create resentment with the company. So. And then lastly, once you've decided that it's an offer you want to take and you want to give your notice to your current company, the Salesforce ecosystem, although it is huge, it is really a tight-knit community. People talk. I can't tell you for Hireforce, I mean, the majority of our clientele and candidates come through referrals. So it definitely is a space where people talk and recommend and refer each other. So it's really important that you leave on good terms, give adequate notice. Those are going to be potentially someone you may want to join their company in the future. They're going to be references for you, and that's your industry reputation. So always give adequate notice. If you're leaving a company and you feel like they are going to be left with a gap, feel free to refer a specialist recruitment firm like Hireforce. Anytime a candidate who we've placed leaves the company, we always suggest that they recommend us to them in case they do need help hiring, and we're happy to step in so that they're not left in frustrated with a gap in the team. So thank you so much for coming to our presentation. We hope that you all enjoyed it. We'd be happy to talk to you, anything career related. Our booth is just to your left, booth number 1. And Duke from Snap BI will be there as well. So feel free to stop on over.